Part 12. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 111. After an hour, Uchihasuke shows up at Hokage's office. While humming an unknown ditty, he held the documents on the desktop and began to read them one by one. People feel refreshed when happy events occur. Before, Uchihasuke felt that the official documents were cumbersome, but now she can't help but feel that her features are more graceful. Uchiha House. After Terumi Mei saw Kushina, she took a few steps forward and came to Kushina. Kushina, where did you go just now? I can't find you. Looking at Terumi Mei, who was concerned about her, Kushina blushed and made a far-fetched excuse. The blush on the face is reflected on the lake, along with the waves. You can vaguely see a 763 white streak crossing the lake. That night, Kushina finally got her wish. Uchihasuke played mahjong with Kushina, Murasaki Minajiki, and Ayasu until late at night. The shouts continued. One night, Uchihasuke was joined by 3 women. They stacked up all kinds of bumps and tricks, and lost hundreds of billions. Then Uchihasuke used these billions to exchange nearly 8,000 emotional points. Facts have proved that an increase in the number of people will indeed increase the emotion value obtained by the emotion collection system in a single time. However, compared to when 3 people lived together, the improvement rate for 4 people was slightly lower. Moreover, the emotion collection system can only collect emotions once a day. Most of the emotional values are obtained in the first few hours. As time goes by, the emotional values obtained will become less and less. Therefore, staying up late playing mahjong is more about fun than just for emotional value. Uchihasuke also roughly estimated the speed of obtaining emotional values in the future. Late at night, Terumi Mei in the next room listened to the movement behind the wall. I was tossing and turning on the bed with the quilt between my legs, unable to sleep. Damn Mr. G, you agreed to capture her as your little wife, but you ended up leaving her in the corner next door, right? This is not a little daughter-in-law, this is obviously a girl, a maid. If there weren't too many people in the room and Terumi Mei was still a little confused, she might have broken in the door long ago. Terumi Mei didn't have a good sleep all night. I just feel like there is a stream in my mind, flowing and flowing. The fragrant phosphorus on the other side of the room was not greatly affected, after all, the distance was relatively large. In addition, Siang phosphorus is still young, so she snores as soon as she sticks to bed at night, which is especially sweet. On the morning of the second day, Xiangling looked at Terumi Mei, whose eyes were red and full of dark circles, still a little confused, and curiously asked Terumi Mei what happened. However, her innocence made Terumi Mei even more ashamed. After leaving the gentle village, Uchihasuke came to the Hokage office and found 2 figures who had been waiting for a long time. Azabuye and Sam leaned on the sofa opposite Hokage's desk, sitting upright. After hearing the door opening behind them, the 2 people immediately stood up and looked at Uchihasuke nervously. Good morning, Assistant Hokage. The 2 of them were wearing the short skirt suits that Uchihasuke specifically mentioned yesterday. They were a little uncomfortable. After a while, they pulled down the tight skirts and rubbed against the black silk. Good morning to you all, please relax. Just treat it as your own office. Azabuye, sit down on the desk. First, help me summarize and sort out today's documents. Divide them into 3 aspects, civil, economic, and military. Uchihasuke said it very clearly and it is not difficult. Azabuye didn't shirk, and sat directly on the Hokage seat, and began to tidy up as Uchihasuke said. However, Mabai is not as calm on the inside as she appears on the outside. She never expected that yesterday she was a prisoner of Konoha, but today she would be sitting in the Hokage seat, helping Uchihasuke handle Konoha's government affairs. This experience gave her a magical feeling, and she even felt waves of heat coming from the chair, making her unable to help but close her legs together. Samai, you continue to sit on the sofa and let me rest for a while. You worked overtime last night, Mabai. Call me after you finish sorting the documents. After saying this, Uchihasuke pushed Samai to sit down again, then lay directly on the sofa and rested his head on Samai's lap. Uchihasuke's familiarity made Samai stunned for a moment, but it relieved the tension in their hearts a lot. Not only did Samai not reject Uchihasuke's approach, but he gently lifted Uchihasuke's head and found a more comfortable position on his warm thighs for Toyokai Hajik to lie down. Uchihasuke suddenly felt much more comfortable, and immediately stretched out, leaned inward, and pressed his face against Samai's waist. Taking a deep breath, the scent of Samai filled her nose. For a moment, Uchihasuke felt his ears were itchy. "Samui, please clean your ears." Samai did not refuse. He pulled out a piece of his hair, twisted it in his hand, leaned down, pushed the hair away from Uchihasuke's ears with one hand, and blew it gently with his mouth. Then, Samai held the slender hair and slowly penetrated Uchihasuke's ear holes. Fiddle with the tiny fluff inside and slowly rotate it. Uchihasuke's entire brain was in a state of relaxation at this moment, feeling indescribably itchy and comfortable. His breathing was long and gentle, and the sound of hula-la filled his ears, covering everything in the outside world, but it was also a rare silence. After a long time, Samai pulled out the hair, put his little finger inside, and rubbed it inside to relieve the itching. Very comfortable. Uchihasuke subconsciously hugged Samai, and the two of them got closer. The smell on Samai's body became stronger and stronger. "It's the smell of the sea. Thank you all for the flowers, please flowers, please flowers, flowers." Nowadays, a 12-month ticket, based on 1 month, should not be a big problem with a 30-month ticket. Add updates first, then ask for monthly tickets. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 112. 112 Disguise, Hyaga's Attitude, 6th update with 200 flowers added. Not long after. The only sounds left in the house were the sound of Asabari flipping documents, and Samui gently stroking Uchihasuke's hair, and the room became extremely quiet. At this time, Mabai and Samui suddenly looked at each other out of nowhere, and a strange feeling arose in their hearts. As ninjas of Cloud Shinobi, they never expected that one day they would appear in Konoha Hokage's office in this form. But soon, Samui lowered his head when he picked up a document next to him, and gently instigated Uchihasuke. In fact, she didn't have to do this, but Third Raikage is now in Uchihasuke's hands. Whether it's life or death, it all depends on Uchihasuke's thoughts. They had already discussed it yesterday and tried every means to please Uchihasuke. Not to mention, Samai still has his own little thoughts. This is also the key reason why Uchihasuke trusts Samui to come and pick out his heirs. Asabai also lowered his head and continued to sort out the numerous files on the desktop. At the same time, she obtained a large amount of information from documents. These documents basically record everything that happened in these ninja worlds, and what attracted Asabi's most attention was the armistice agreement signed between Konoha and the major ninja villages. The contents of the Cloud Shinobi and Rock Shinobi village agreements are the same, almost the same, and the conditions are very harsh. However, the two major ninja villages agreed, which made Asabuyi feel cold and respected Uchihasuke even more. The Mist Ninja Village agreement is better, but only better. As for Sand Shinobi Village, Konoha didn't even look at it. Sand Shinobi Village, which is completely desert, is a barren land to Konoha and is not worthy of Konoha's attention at all. For a long time in the future, Sand Shinobi Village's entire financial income will come from 4th Kazekage's use of bloodline to mine gold in the desert, which is not a disaster. After a long time, the silence was suddenly broken by footsteps outside the door. Assistant Hokage. Hyaga Hayashi looked at Uchihasuke, who was lazing on the sofa, and said respectfully, "To be honest, When Hyaga Hayashi first saw the scene in Hokage's office, he was shocked and thought to himself, Uchihasuke really knows how to play. Uchihasuke woke up after hearing the sound. He raised his head and glanced at Hyaga Hayashi with a slightly dim look, then picked up the sunglasses on the table next to him and put them on. Great power is always accompanied by huge losses. The burden of the heavenly Gaku and the godly body is too great for Mangekyo Sharinan. After Uchihasuke defeated the Mist Ninja and Cloud Shinobi in succession, his eyesight declined significantly and his eyesight became dim and dull. Although, after Uchihasuke redeemed the eternal Mangekyo, this vision problem has been resolved. However, Uchihasuke did not show it. Instead, he spent 500 emotion points to redeem a blind contact lens at the Emotion Mall. The contact lens produced by this system is more like a state mode. As long as Uchihasuke hangs it on himself, his eyes will always be in a Sharinan state of near blindness. The sunglasses in his hand are another kind of disguise, or a deliberate concealment. Chief Hyaga, I wonder if you have anything to report to me today, Uchiha said expressionlessly. Hokage, please take a look. Hyaga Hayashi didn't talk nonsense. He stepped forward and handed over a document with both hands. Uchiha Prefecture Assistance Fund Statistics Table. Uchihasuke knew what it was just by looking at it. Most of the money for the construction of Uchiha House was obtained by Uchihasuke from Hyaga Hisashi. This aid economic statistics table records the funding Uchiha received from the Hyaga clan. Based on Uchihasuke's understanding of Hyaga Hisashi would never come to him for this matter. Chief Hyaga, I wonder what you mean. Uchihasuke looked up at Hyaga Hayashi but did not take the document. Hyaga Hayashi smiled. Assistant Hokage, we, the Hyaga clan, would like to obtain support from Konoha's tax-free policy for the Hyaga clan's family stores. Oh? Chief Hyaga, do you want to use these tax exemptions to offset the funding for the renovation of the Uchiha mansion this time? Hyaga Hayashi didn't answer, but his attitude was already obvious. Although the Hyaga clan supports you, I don't get anything from you, but I want Konoha to provide me with corresponding compensation. Moreover, this tax-free policy is not difficult at all for Uchihasuke, who controls Konoha. Clan leader Hyaga, compared to your brother, your courage is not as good as your status. Assistant Hokage, what do you mean? Hyaga Hayashi frowned slightly. Nothing, Chief Hyaga, 480. I agree to your application. Uchihasuke took the document with a smile, without reading it, and threw it casually on the coffee table aside. After saying this, Uchihasuke lay on Samai's lap again, using his face on the warm and silky surface to find an extremely comfortable position for himself. Then, Uchihasuke said calmly, Samui, go ahead and pick your ears. Although Hyaga Hayashi achieved his goal, he looked at Uchihasuke's arrogant attitude. An unknown fire suddenly rose in my heart. Hyaga Hayashi gave Uchihasuke a deep look, as if he wanted to remember Uchiha. Afterwards, Hyaga Hayashi strode out of Hokage's office. Originally, Hyaga Hayashi was planning to return to Hyaga's station, but I don't know what he suddenly thought of. He turned around and walked towards a family station not far away. The sign hanging on the door of the station is the Sarutobi clan. There will be more than 51,484 flowers tomorrow, and we will continue to add more. More flowers can activate hidden updates. Let's smash the author to death with lots of flowers. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 113. The Residence of the Sarutobi Clan. Hyaga Hayashi followed his servant into the Sarutobi station. When he came to the hall, he found many figures in the living room. Nara Shikaku, Akamai Kichoza, Yamanaka Inoshikacho trio, and one of the Sun and Jiraiya are all there. If Namikaze Minato hadn't been on his way back, Hyuga Hayashi believed there would still be Namikaze Minato in this room. Hyuga Hayashi looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen on the main seat, and spoke after a thoughtful moment. Lord Hokage. As soon as Hyuga Hayashi opened his mouth, Jiraiya immediately looked over and frowned slightly. Sarutobi Hiruzen was happy when he heard this, but he still waved his hand and refused. Hayashi, I have now stepped down from the position of Hokage. The current Hokage is Orochimaru. Please don't call me Hokage-sama in the future. Otherwise, it will easily cause misunderstanding, which is not good. It will appear that I am jealous. Hokage-sama, having said that, in our hearts, you will always be Konoha's Hokage. With Hokage-sama's contribution to Konoha over the years, even if I call you Hokage-sama on the street, no one will those who have opinions. Ha ha ha, I'm getting older, now it's the young people who dominate the world. Sarutobi Hiruzen neither admitted nor refused. On the battlefield, young people are indeed more energetic. But now that the ninja world is at peace, we still have to rely on old guys like us in terms of experience in governing Konoha. Hey, Hayashi, you can't say that. Since the young people have already gone up, we should give the stage to them and let them show off their talents. Hyuga Hayashi saw this and did not continue speaking. He had already got the answer he wanted. Sarutobi Hiruzen was dissatisfied with Orochimaru's seizure of power. At that time, he abdicated because of special circumstances, so he had to give up the position of Hokage. Now Sarutobi Hiruzen is in a corner, not because Sarutobi Hiruzen has no ideas in his heart, but because he is afraid of the power in the hands of young people. The power Uchiha Sasuke showed in the Third Ninja War was so powerful that it made old guys like them tremble. Not to mention, behind Uchiha there is a perfect person to control Nine Tails to help Kushina. Plus Orochimaru, who has never taken action, but his whereabouts are becoming more and more erratic and strange. Sarutobi Hiruzen is now exhausted. Nara Shikaku listened to the conversation between Hyuga Hayashi and Sarutobi Hiruzen, his eyes flickering a little. The Nara clan, the Akamika clan, and the Yamanaka clan followed the first Hokage when the village was founded in Konoha. They are the earliest elder families of Konoha. However, when Konoha was first established, although the three clans were not weak, they were still far away from the core circle of Konoha. Senju clan, Uchiha clan, Hyuga clan. Even the Hatake clan and the Kurama clan are more powerful than them. It wasn't until the three clans bet on Sarutobi Hiruzen that they became the top clan in Konoha except for the Hyuga and Uchiha clans. The political success of taking sides allowed the three tribes of Inoshikacho to reap all the dividends and obtain a large amount of resources. For example, the Nara clan takes over the entire medicine business in Konoha, the Akamika clan takes over most of the catering business in Konoha, and the Yamanaka clan controls almost the entire interrogation and trial institutions in Konoha with their family secretaries. After tasting the sweetness once, the Inoshikacho clan repeated their old tricks and focused all their political resources on Namikaze Minato. If Namikaze Minato serves as the fourth generation Hokage, then the three clans will continue their past glory. However, something unexpected happened, because the snake suddenly seized power. This made all the previous efforts of the three clans go to waste. Moreover, even if they wanted to change camps now, it was too late. Their three tribes had long been labeled as Hokage. Uchiha Sasuke and Orochimaru's seizure of power came too suddenly, leaving them unprepared. Since Uchiha Sasuke came to power, the three clans have completely lost their right to speak in Konoha, and are now vassals of the Sarutobi clan. This sense of gap makes Nara extremely uncomfortable if he cannot regain his former rights. The family industrial advantages of their three clans will inevitably be lost bit by bit, and will eventually be snatched away by others. In Nara Shikaku's view, Hokage is Namikaze Minato and must be Namikaze Minato. And Uchiha Sasuke and Orochimaru are the obstacles in their way. However, this was just the thought in Nara Shikaku's mind and was not shown. The war had just ended, and he knew too little about Uchihasuke. Hyuga Hisashi was a guest of the Sarutobi clan for a while, and then he found a random excuse to say goodbye to Sarutobi Hiruzen. During this period, Hyuga Hayashi, intentionally or unintentionally, revealed the matter about Uchihasuke's eyes. When Hyuga Hayashi left, Nara couldn't help but look at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Hokage-sama. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand. Shikaku, why do you make such a stupid mistake? I am no longer Hokage. Nara Shikaku didn't speak, but looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen silently, his eyes full of determination. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Nara Shikaku have been working together for a long time, and they understand what he is thinking at a glance. For a moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen put away the seriousness on his face and smiled like a spring breeze. Shikaku, we can just talk about this in private. You can no longer call me Hokage outside. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen is criticizing Nara Shikaku, Li Hao, he is saying that Nara Shikaku is his own person. Sir Hokage, I understand. Tell me, Shikaku, what did you want to ask just now? Just ask me, I will tell you everything I know. After all, you are the brains of our Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen has been blocking Hokage for so many years, so his emotional intelligence is naturally not low. You respect me as the Hokage, and I respect you as the brain of Konoha. The two of them knew each other's thoughts very well. With Sarutobi Hiruzen's approval, Nara no longer hides it. Lord Hokage, what does the Sharingan change that the Hyuga clan leader said just now mean? I want to add more updates, but the flowers and evaluation votes have not changed. I can only pretend to be in a good mood and add more trouble. Woohoo, please flowers, please flowers. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 114. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled when he heard this. Shikaku, I guessed you were going to ask this. Sharingan is powerful, but there is also a huge price behind being powerful. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not directly say what the flaw was, but instead mentioned the history of Konoha. Shikaku, you know Uchiha class, right? My subordinates know that Uchiha Madara and Lord First Hokage worked together to quell the troubled times and build Konoha. Nara Shikaku didn't know why Sarutobi Hiruzen asked this, but he answered honestly. Shikaku, what if I told you that Uchiha Madara encountered the same problem as Uchihasuke back then? Sarutobi Hiruzen paused and then continued. And the problem is blindness. Nara Shikaku's eyes were full of disbelief, as a powerful ninja clan that existed when Konoha village was founded. He naturally knows many secrets of Konoha. Just like Mangekyo Sharingan. Nara Shikaku's father saw Uchiha Madara with his own eyes and saw the power of Mangekyo Sharingan. However, this group is not something that the Nara clan can know. Sarutobi Hiruzen knows this because he is a disciple of second Hokage Senju Tobirama. Once when the two of them were together, Senju Tobirama accidentally revealed the story of Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Izuna while complaining about the evilness of the Uchiha clan. It was also because of that time that Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that there were changes in Mangekyo Sharingan. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen knew about this, not even Shimura Danzo and the others. Even now, no one in the Uchiha clan probably knows about it. No way, the Uchiha clan who owns the Sharingan can actually become blind. It can be said that there is no ninja in Konoha who does not envy the Uchiha clan. As long as they open the 3 Tomo Sharingan, they will become elite Jonin. It is so enviable. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen now tells him that the Uchiha clan's Sharingan's flaw is blindness, which is simply unbelievable. You know, most of the power of the Uchiha clan lies in those eyes. However, Qin Liang and Lu Ju quickly grasped the key point. Hokage-sama, but according to the records, Uchiha Madara was not blind until his death. Is there a solution to this kind of blindness? As expected of Shikaku, he is smart and has methods, but, Uchihasuke can't use this method. Sarutobi Hiruzen snorted. Nara's eyes lit up when he heard this. According to Master Hokage's description, if Uchiha uses Mangekyo Sharingan again, wouldn't he become blind? And a blind Uchiha. When Naraluyu said this, he did not continue, and several people looked at each other and smiled. Ha ha ha, Shikaku, that's why I'm telling you, young people don't have enough experience. Abi, however, the smile on Sarutobi Hiruzen's face quickly fell again, and he lowered his head and smoked depressedly. It's a pity that I don't know what kind of ecstasy soup Uchiha poured into Kushina, which actually made Kushina side with Uchiha. Now Kushina has perfect control of Nine Tails and has become a perfect supporter of Nine Tails. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. Nine Tails is so powerful. Sarutobi Hiruzen was extremely surprised when Uchiha killed Kamui and captured him. However, Mangekyo Sharingan is just like the night blooming Sirius, its brilliance is only for a moment and is nothing to worry about. Speaking of Nine Tails, everyone fell silent. Jiraiya looked out the window without discussing with him. Konoha had just won and was about to start fighting for power again, which made Jiraiya a little irritated. This was also the key reason why he didn't want to be a Hokage. Seeing that everyone was silent for a long time, Jiraiya took the initiative to say goodbye and left the Sarutobi station. After Jiraiya left, everyone became more open-minded. Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama, is there no problem? Shikaku didn't say anything, but Sarutobi Hiruzen already understood what he was asking. Don't worry, Namikaze Minato is Jiraiya's disciple. If something really happens, Jiraiya will never leave it alone. The top priority now is Nine Tails. Nine Tails is such a headache. Sarutobi Hiruzen said as he took 2 strong puffs from the pipe in his hand. There was nothing Nara Shikaku could do. In the face of absolute power, all conspiracies and tricks have nowhere to hide. It's useless even if his IQ is as high as 300. After Uchiha Obito joined the team, the construction of Uchiha House has progressed rapidly, saving 2/3 of the original construction period. Uchiha and Kushina will be able to move in tomorrow. There was not much official work today, so Uchiha entertained the 2 secretaries for a while, then left work early and headed to Uchiha Mansion. After Kushina saw Uchiha, she pulled Uchiha aside, put it next to Uchiha ear, and whispered. Ji-kun, we will move into Uchiha House tomorrow. Do you want to go to my place tonight? We are just the 2 of us. Uchiha was a little surprised. What, Kushina, are you not afraid of me this time? Jijun, why are you so full of paint? Can't you just stay with me for once? Kushina stomped her feet shyly. If I can bear it, I can bear it, but Kushina, you. Uchiha smiled. Hate. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. It's no problem to go. Have you told Zi and Cai Phosphorus? I told them at noon. It just so happened that Zi, Cai Phosphorus and the others were going to work overtime tonight to prepare the general things needed for moving. We can move easily tomorrow. Well, you just need to arrange this, and I will move in with you when the time comes. Uchiha is like a male lion, he is responsible for conquering the world, and the rest is left to Kushina and other female lions to complete. Moreover, with Uchiha emotion collection system, the exchanged items can be used not only for yourself, but also for designated objects. Uchiha plans to use the extra emotional points to strengthen Zheng Xinyi and the others after he has everything he should have. This is called taking it from the people and using it for the people. Next, Uchiha said hello to Minajiki Murasaki and Aai Phosphorus, and then took Kushina and left early. Minajiki Murasaki and Ai Pose commanded a dozen female villagers hired to clean and tidy up the Uchiha mansion. It wasn't until late at night that the group of people had almost finished cleaning. After dismissing everyone, Mizuno Uzi and Cai Phosphorus went to rest. After so many days of busy work, it was finally over, and they felt extremely tired. Under the same moonlight. Uchihasuke and Kushina, both of them also stayed up late studying hard. In the morning, the two good students did not forget to have another morning reading. Reviewing the learning results from last night. It may be time to move out of here, but this time Kushina is particularly proactive. Even if he couldn't bear it anymore, he gritted his teeth and persisted, which made Uchihasuke feel good. The two people who were fooling around during the day were engrossed in learning to applaud, and they didn't notice. Under the early sun, a golden light was walking expectantly towards the direction of their cabin. 8 updates today. I will change the update time starting tomorrow. This chapter is an additional update to notify you of the change and update time. 6-8 a.m., 2 updates. 11-13 noon, more updates. 20-22 p.m., 2 updates. Hope everyone knows. More flowers will be added tomorrow than 52731. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 115. The war is over and I'm finally back. I wonder what Kushina is doing now. Do you miss me? Namikaze Minato thought about Kushina's unusual reaction when he left last time. The smile on his face froze for a moment, but quickly returned to its original state. Kushina must miss me, for sure. When I come back this time, I want to propose to her. Originally, Namikaze Minato planned to propose to Kushina as a Kage after serving as the 4th Hokage. He had done this before. He was confident that he could do it, so he was not in a hurry to show his feelings. But now that Orochimaru has become the 4th Hokage, he has no chance to become a Hokage. In addition, Kushina's abnormal reaction last time made Namikaze Minato feel a little anxious. He didn't dare to wait any longer and couldn't wait any longer. On his way back this time, he also made a special trip to Gemtown. He used the savings he had accumulated for a long time to customize a dazzling and luxurious diamond ring. Namikaze Minato held the ring box in her hand, feeling extremely excited. Kushina will be very moved when she sees this and agree to marry me immediately. When the time comes, be sure to call the teacher and master 3rd Hokage to seek blessings. After peace was restored in the ninja world, Namikaze Minato couldn't help but start to dream about the beautiful days he and Kushina would live together in the future. In this anxious and expectant mood, Namikaze Minato once again came to the door of the room he was once very familiar with. Seeing things and thinking about people, Kushina's smiling face seemed to appear in front of Namikaze Minato. However, just as he was about to reach out and knock on the door, he suddenly heard a sound, as if someone was playing a musical instrument inside the door. And a man's laugh. At first, Namikaze Minato was still curious and put his ear to the door, trying to hear the sound inside. However, Namikaze Minato's face soon turned the color of pig liver, and his expression became distorted. For a moment, Namikaze Minato thought of something, and his hands began to tremble. He only felt that the man's voice was somewhat familiar, but he was not sure who it was, but the other voice was not too familiar to him. It's Kushina's voice. Namikaze Minato almost lost his balance and closed his eyes in pain. However, as soon as he closed his eyes, Namikaze Minato's mind was buzzing and he couldn't calm down at all. Then, Namikaze Minato felt even more painful in an instant. At this moment, he really wanted to escape from here, as far away as possible. But as soon as this thought came to Namikaze Minato's mind, his legs felt like they were filled with lead and he couldn't move at all. Just like that, Namikaze Minato kept doing this and stared blankly at the door in front of him. I do not know how long it has been. After a while, there was silence again behind the door. Uchihasuke looked at Kushina, who was completely powerless in her arms, and couldn't help but pinch her face, which was full of collagen. Is it necessary to work so hard? It's not like we have no chance to come back. If you want to come back and live here in the future, I will accompany you. In Uchihasuke's heart, Kushina is different. It's like the beginning of everything. Hearing this, Kushina got some strength from nowhere, hugged Uchihasuke's arm, and rubbed Uchihasuke lovingly, which was full of benefits. Jijun, you are so kind to me. Looking at your pitiful look, I thought you weren't jealous. How can I not be jealous? People also want to monopolize you, but you are too strong, Kushina said and flicked it with her hand. Bowlings. Hey, don't move. Otherwise, you'll bear the consequences yourself. No, don't. I'm exhausted, Mr. G, and you don't want to lose the lovely Kushina from now on. Kushina blinked her big eyes and immediately became extremely well behaved. Uchihasuke retaliated by grabbing Kushina twice, and then let Kushina go. The two were affectionate for a while, and Kushina suddenly noticed a familiar aura and subconsciously opened Kagura's eyes. Soon, Kushina knew who was outside her door. However, there was no change on Kushina's face. 0, please give me flowers. Reach out and draw circles on the Uchiha mark with your finger. Jijun, there is a person outside, you will never imagine who it is. Hearing what Kushina said, Uchihasuke also became curious. He let go of his consciousness and soon he knew who was outside. Because Namikaze Minato did not hide his aura, or in other words, Namikaze Minato's aura is extremely messy now. It's not hard to tell that Namikaze Minato has been at the door for a while. Gentlemen, we seem to have met. You already have my child. It's only a matter of time before you are discovered. Besides, now that Konoha is under my control, what will happen if he finds out? Uchihasuke said disdainfully. Come on, Kushina, let's open the door and meet him. Jijun, I listen to you. I'm going to get dressed now. After Kushina finished speaking, she was about to jump out of bed and go to the dressing table to tidy up. Unexpectedly, as soon as Kushina started to move, she was grabbed by Uchihasuke. Don't go to such trouble, just put on a pajama dress, it will be more fun to meet him this way. Uchihasuke glanced at Kushina with a smirk. Now Kushina's hair is particularly messy, the sweat on her forehead has not completely disappeared, and if you look closely, you can still see traces of strangulation marks on her neck, which makes people unable to help but think about it. Jijun, you are so awesome. Although Kushina said this, she did not refuse Uchihasuke. Instead, there was a glint of eagerness in his eyes. Ever since Kushina caught Terumi May last time, Kushina seemed to have activated some switch. He hugged Uchihasuke's arm again and prepared to open the door with Uchihasuke. Uchihasuke just wore those big pants and walked towards the door with Kushina. However, Uchihasuke stopped Kushina as soon as she took 2 steps. Kushina is now completely covered in a nightgown with a skirt that just covers her knees. As I walk, I can vaguely see 2 moles. Guys, please give us some data. Flowers, flowers, flowers. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 116. No, Kushina, I thought you'd better wear a small piece of clothing on top. Although Uchihasuke intends to stimulate Namikaze Minato, he does not want to suffer a loss. Now that Kushina is his woman, if Namikaze Minato sees something he shouldn't see, wouldn't he be bullied? In this world, he can only bully others, and others are absolutely not allowed to bully him. This is a matter of principle. Jijun, I can't do it without walking through. I'll be behind you later, only showing my head, so he won't see it. If you want to see it, only Jijun can see it. He, give it to me, have a look. Kushina said and pressed against Uchihasuke's back. Uchihasuke instantly felt as if there were 2 fingers poking his back playfully. Uchihasuke was so hooked that he almost pulled Kushina back to the bedroom so that he could make up for her lessons and wet a few more papers. Kushina, it means your body can't bear it now, otherwise let's see how I deal with you. Uchihasuke pinched the tip of Kushina's nose, then turned and walked towards the door. However, just when Uchihasuke was about to open the door, he suddenly looked back at Kushina's little mouth, and a plan came to his mind. Kushina, I see that your lips are a little white and not red enough. In this case, I'll help you reapply lipstick before opening the door. Kushina didn't understand why Uchihasuke said this. She really thought that Uchihasuke was going to put lipstick on her, so she obediently raised her head. Unexpectedly, Uchihasuke fed her a few mouthfuls of ice cream, and then pulled her to open the door. Kushina's lips became extremely red now, but the lipstick effect was so good that not only Kushina's lips turned red, but her whole face also turned red. Behind Uchihasuke, he lowered his head and put his chin on his shoulder. Namikaze Minato was still in a daze outside the door. The door suddenly opened, startling him. Subconsciously take a half step back. However, after he saw everything in the house, there was a bang in his head, as if a thunderbolt had fallen, and his whole body was numb. The next second, Namikaze Minato's eyes became extremely red, and even the bloodshot eyes burst out. Uchihasuke is nothing good looking. He is shirtless and wearing flowery shorts, looking very carefree. But the look of Kushina made Namikaze Minato feel his heart twitching, as if he was about to stop. A full head of red hair was scattered messily on Kushina's shoulders, her lips were a little swollen, and there were tears in the corners of her eyes. She stood behind Uchihasuke with bare feet, and her figure was almost completely blocked by Uchihasuke. Even though Namikaze Minato was a junior and didn't understand anything, he understood everything when he saw the scene in front of him. Everything that happened in the door just now was exactly what he imagined just now. Perhaps, it was even crazier than he imagined. Namikaze Minato's face turned extremely pale for a moment. At this moment, he didn't even dare to look at Kushina. His upper and lower teeth were trembling, and his body began to shake erratically. In a daze, Namikaze Minato recalled the last time he saw Kushina. Although Uchihasuke was not around that time, Kushina was as disheveled as she is now. While Namikaze Minato was heartbroken, she realized. Did something like that happen last time? No wonder Kushina's attitude towards me has changed so much. Namikaze Minato had to admit that Kushina at this time was more beautiful than ever in his memory. However, this beauty does not belong to him. Uchihasuke Namikaze Minato looked at Uchihasuke with angry eyes. Although he didn't know what happened during this period, he knew that the changes in Kushina were all because of Uchihasuke. It's because of Uchihasuke that Kushina becomes so cold towards him. Because of Uchihasuke, Kushina became so embarrassed. Especially when Uchihasuke faintly heard a few particularly harsh words just now. Seeing Namikaze Minato's appearance, Uchihasuke felt an indescribable joy in his heart. With his hands behind his back, he couldn't help but secretly grab Kushina's arm. Kushina was originally nervous, but her eyes instantly became more rosy, and she gave Uchiha a charming look. In retaliation, Kushina rubbed Uchihasuke's back hard twice. In this case, even an experienced driver can't hold back his gun. Looking at Namikaze Minato again, Uchihasuke felt that it was particularly annoying and wanted to send Namikaze Minato away quickly. What? Minato, are you planning to attack Assistant Hokage? Well, I am representing the whole of Konoha now. Do you want to betray Konoha and become a rebel ninja? Uchihasuke said unceremoniously. Namikaze Minato heard this and was almost furious. Uchihasuke, you have gone too far. Namikaze Minato gritted his teeth and said word by word. Why am I angry with you? My wife and I were woken up by you in the morning. Shouldn't I be the one who is angry? You yourself know what you did. Kushina, tell me that you were forced by him. Namikaze Minato looked at Kushina in an almost pleading manner. In his mind, Kushina is definitely not like this. Unexpectedly, Kushina is more indifferent than Namikaze Minato imagined. I want you to take care of my affairs. I just like how Jejun treats me. The more violent the better. I like it best when Jejun hits me. After listening to Namikaze Minato, he felt dizzy. Uchihasuke didn't expect Kushina to be so aggressive, but considering Kushina's character, it's not surprising. Kushina, love, she really dares to love. Hate, she also really dares to hate. Subconsciously, Kushina was originally a lawless character, but she was suppressed before 4.5. Now, with Uchihasuke's support, Kushina can be herself. Subsequently, Uchihasuke lands a last-hit critical hit. Minato, don't try to sow discord between us. Let me tell you, Kushina has now corrupted my child. You don't want Kushina's child to have no father in the future. When Namikaze Minato heard this, his vision went dark and he fell against the wall next to him. But Uchihasuke was in no mood to care about Namikaze Minato's feelings. Bang! The door is closed again. Guys, please give me some data. If the author dug out his heart, it should be dark. Please flowers, flowers, flowers. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, cat on the list. Chapter 117. The wind whistles. Namikaze Minato doesn't know how he left Kushina's residence. Even after the door was closed, Namikaze Minato vaguely heard another intermittent voice coming from behind the door. It's just that at this time, Namikaze Minato didn't have any emotions in his heart, or he was already numb. I don't know how long it took, but when Namikaze Minato came back to his senses, he happened to find him parked at the door of the Sarutobi clan's residence. At this moment, Namikaze Minato suddenly thought of the promise Sarutobi Hiruzen had made to him before. After the war is over, you will be the next Hokage, the fourth Hokage. In a daze, Namikaze Minato finally knew what he had lost. If he were Hokage, this scene would not happen today. If he were the Hokage, Kushina would still be the same as before. If he is Hokage. Thinking of this, Bobo Minato had a paranoid obsession in his heart. Originally, Namikaze Minato had accepted his fate after learning that Orochimaru became the fourth Hokage, but now he has changed his mind. Taking a deep breath, and not knowing where the strength came from, Minato resolutely stepped into the door of the Sarutobi clan. This time Narashikaku and the others are not here, only Jiraiya and Sarutobi Hiruzen. The two were talking about something. Jiraiya was carrying a small package behind him and seemed to be asking Sarutobi Hiruzen to say goodbye. However, the two of them quickly stopped because they were frightened by Namikaze Minato's face. I saw Namikaze Minato's face was pale, his eyes were red, and his hands were still shaking uncontrollably. Minato, what's wrong with you? Jiraiya didn't care to talk to Sarutobi Hiruzen, and quickly stepped forward, grabbing Namikaze Minato's shoulders and asked. Sarutobi Hiruzen also frowned. If the previous Namikaze Minato was as warm as a small sun, people could not help but feel trustful after getting close. So now, because the yang is extinguished, Namikaze Minato seemed to be enveloped by a strong black aura, cold and low. Namikaze Minato didn't seem to feel Jiraiya grabbing him, he just stared into Jiraiya's eyes and said hoarsely for a long time. Teacher, Kushina, is with Uchihasuke. When did this happen and what happened? Teacher, do you know? Hearing this, Jiraiya and Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at each other and finally understood what happened. In fact, they discovered this when Konoha and Cloud Shinobi were fighting. But they didn't dare to tell Namikaze Minato, thinking how long it would take. Now it seems that things have exploded. At this moment, how much more dissatisfied was Sarutobi Hiruzen with Uchihasuke? Namikaze Minato is extremely smart. When he saw the reaction of his teacher and Sarutobi Hiruzen, he immediately knew that they knew about this matter earlier than him. It was just because of his feelings that he never said it. Minato, listen to me. If Kushina doesn't choose you, it's because of her bad taste. It's her loss. Otherwise, you can leave Konoha with me and travel to the ninja world to relax, Jiraiya said, finished looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen coughed and added, Minato, why don't you go and relax with Jiraiya? This is World War III. You have worked hard for so long, and it's time for you to take a long vacation. I'll follow up on this matter, Hokage said, just feel free to leave. Namikaze Minato said nothing and clenched his hands tightly. Jiraiya and Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at him worriedly. After a long time, Namikaze Minato finally couldn't bear it anymore and said as if crying. Teacher, third Hokage, Kushina, she is pregnant. Namikaze Minato didn't dare to say the unpleasant words he heard at the door. He was afraid that the teacher and the third Hokage would look down on Kushina if they found out. However, the pregnancy made Namikaze Minato feel unbalanced and could not even stay calm. My mind felt like mush, and I had lost the ability to think. Jiraiya was also extremely shocked. Originally, he just thought that Kushina had just followed Uchiha. Now that I think about it, it's definitely not that simple. Because pregnancy cannot be achieved in a day or two. At the very least, it will take more than a month to find out. However, Uchiha was not the Hokage assistant a month ago, and Orochimaru had not yet ascended to the Hokage position. For a moment, Jiraiya was at a loss. He didn't know how to comfort Namikaze Minato. Even though there are thousands of words in my heart, nothing comes out when it comes to my mouth. The destined girlfriend suddenly became someone else's mother, and no one could treat her calmly. Jiraiya put himself in for a little while. It was like Tsunade, whom he had liked for decades, suddenly became pregnant with someone else's child. He felt suffocated and wanted to go crazy just thinking about it. Thinking of this, Jiraiya was thankful more than once. Fortunately, Kato-dan died early at that time. At that time, Tsunade and Kato-dan had just established their relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend. Kato-dan is arrogant and thinks that he can be a Hokage in the future, and he will be together with Yamato Tsunade and Yamato Tsunade. During the war, he restrained himself and never talked about his children's feelings. He never even kissed Tsunade. If Kato-dan hadn't died, Jiraiya felt that he would never be any better than Namikaze Minato. It is precisely because of this feeling that Jiraiya feels particularly sorry for Namikaze Minato. He picked up Namikaze Minato and comforted him constantly. At this time, Jiraiya and Namikaze Minato did not notice that Sarutobi Hiruzen had a flash of joy in his eyes after hearing the news of Kushina's pregnancy. Pregnant? Pregnancy, that would be great. You often walk by the river without getting your shoes wet. I can only say that if you read some chapters earlier. Guys, please give me some data. Please flowers, flowers, flowers proud. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the list. Chapter 118. After Namikaze Minato and Jiraiya leave, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't wait to ask his servants to summon Nara and Shikaku. Seeing the servants leaving, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a moment and sent someone to invite the head of the Hyuga clan over. Not long after, the Sarutobi clan's living room became lively again. Sarutobi Hiruzen, in front of everyone's puzzled eyes, revealed the news he had just received, or great news. This news cleared away the gloom he had felt for so many days. Everyone, Kushina is pregnant. As soon as these words came out, joy appeared on some faces of Ino Shikacho and Hyuga Hayashi, while confusion flashed on some faces. Sarutobi Hiruzen was in a good mood and continued. It's okay if someone else is pregnant, but if Jinchuriki is pregnant, it's a big deal, because when Jinchuriki gives birth, the seal in her body will be in an extremely unstable state. At that time, with a little manipulation, Jinchuriki will disappear from this world. What Sarutobi Hiruzen said was rather vague, but everyone here was a human being, and they instantly understood what Sarutobi Hiruzen meant. How did Uchihasuke secure his position as Hokage's assistant? Wasn't it because of his pair of Mangekyo Sharinan, Nine-Tails' perfect Jinchuriki's support, and Orochimaru's letting go? However, Uchihasuke is now severely damaged by Mangekyo, Nine-Tails is pregnant again, and only one Orochimaru is left. Several people here did not take Orochimaru seriously at all. No matter how strong Orochimaru is, can he be stronger than his teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen? Not to mention, they also have Jiraiya, who is also one of the Sunin. And in the Third Ninja War, the famous Golden Flash Namikaze Minato. Moreover, there is still a long time before Kushina gives birth, enough for them to be fully prepared. Sir Hokage, it seems that we will have to find some work for Assistant Hokage in the next year. It is best to make him blind. As for Orochimaru, it is said that he has been conducting human experiments recently. By then we will only need to collect some insignificant evidence, and people's words are formidable. Without us taking action, others will oust him from the position of Hokage, and then, Lord Hokage is still Lord Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled proudly and touched his beard. Hey, I'm old, and now it's a world of young people. People like Uchihasuke are not thinking right. If you want to see it, Namikaze Minato should be the Hokage. Narashikaku immediately understood, yes, it would be better for Namikaze Minato to be the Hokage. As a civilian ninja, Namikaze Minato has no family or roots in Konoha. Even if Namikaze Minato becomes Hokage, won't they have to rely on them to manage the entire Konoha? Sarutobi Hiruzen and Namikaze Minato are both the same as Hokage. Ha 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 ha. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at each other and smiled proudly. Hyuga Hayashi was also very happy, he thought to himself. Uchihasuke made you despise me, how proud you are now, how hard I will let you fall later. Kushina, I let you show off your strength, and now you are crying. Uchiha hugged Jushinchan in distress. After Namikaze Minato left, the two had another fight and stir-fried small peppers. Now Kushina is seriously injured, with tears in the corners of her eyes, falling down her face. It's all Namikaze Minato's fault, it wasn't him, they would have endured it a long time ago. Kushina was crying and shaking the door hard. Uchihasuke couldn't help but laugh. Fortunately, Namikaze Minato has left. If he hears you say that, I think he will be angry to death. F8LF hashtag. I don't care if he is angry or not, I just want my husband to be happy, Although I know you are perfunctory with me, I am very happy. I will give you an extra chance to come here for a little gathering. If you want, you can call me anytime and we will come directly. I knew Mr. G was good to me. I'll pull you over again when I get well, huh. You are so good and fun-loving. No matter, I just like it. Kushina hugged Uchihasuke tightly as if she was about to merge her body into Uchiha's. After a long time, Kushina straightened up and gently touched the corner of Uchihasuke's eyes with her hand, feeling a little distressed when she looked at Uchihasuke's eyes. Suke-kun, what's wrong with your eyes? Why do they look so dim? It's like they've lost their luster. Were they injured in the last battle with Cloud Shinobi and the others? Kushina didn't know much about Sharinan, so Uchihasuke briefly introduced the side effects of Mangekyo Sharinan. Kushina became anxious upon hearing this. Jijun, why didn't you tell me earlier? If you had known, you would have asked me to take action. What if you were blind? You wouldn't be able to see me by then. Seeing Kushina's worried look, Uchiha comforted her. Kushina, don't worry, there's actually nothing wrong with my eyes. You still said there was nothing wrong, but now it's like this, I can see it. This is just a disguise, a deliberately made disguise. Uchihasuke removed the disguise contact lenses and convinced Kushina. Later, Uchihasuke resumed his disguise. Jijun, why are you pretending? You don't look energetic at all now. This involves a good show. If I don't act weaker, those clowns won't dare to jump out. Showing weakness to the enemy. Do we in Konoha still have enemies in the ninja world? There are no external enemies for the time being, but that's not necessarily the case internally. Since they dare to oppose us, why don't we just kill them directly? Kushina said fiercely. I summoned Kurama to see who dares to be our enemy, we will kill them directly. Uchiha tapped Kushina's nose. When the Hokage not only fights and kills, but also simply kills them, wouldn't it be too cheap for them? Hanyo, not only want to kill, they want to ruin their reputation and let them be engraved on the pillar of shame forever. Seeing the confident Uchiha, Kushina was completely relieved. I believe in you, Mr. G, Kushina said and gave her a sweet kiss. Subsequently, Kushina decided to distance herself from Uchiha. She really can't stand it now, but she doesn't dare to provoke Uchiha anymore. Then, under the service of Kushina, Uchiha got dressed and walked leisurely towards the Hokage building. Only walked half the distance. Uchiha Obito's excited voice suddenly sounded behind him. Assistant Hokage, Assistant Hokage. The number of evaluation votes will be 800 soon, so I will write an update after adding the 900 evaluation votes. Add updates first, then ask for evaluation votes. Can I ask for them now? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 119. Konoha. In a quiet alley, there are rows of houses lined up on both sides of the street. It can be seen that the houses here are very good, and they are the favorite style of petty bourgeoisie families. Half an hour before Uchiha came out of Kushina's house. Lin, are you at home or not? It's me, Obito, Uchiha Obito. Early in the morning, Uchiha Obito came to the door of Nohara Lin's house. What's wrong? After a moment, Lin opened the door and looked at Obito on the street with a sleepy face. In fact, Nohara Lin didn't sleep very late last night, but she was dreaming all night long. Recently, she has been troubled by this same dream. The male protagonist in the dream was Uchiha, whom she regarded as a bastard. In dreams, all the time. And before Uchiha Obito woke her up, Uchiha in the dream was at the last moment of the 100-meter sprint, trying his best to find the bottom. Even though Nohara Lin has woken up now, she still feels a little lost in her heart. Uchiha Obito didn't notice the strange look on Nohara Lin's face. After opening the door, he said to Lin excitedly. Lin, I have always frowned when I saw that you were unhappy during this time, thinking of making you happy. Now, I have found a way to make you happy. No, Obito, thank you, actually, I'm fine, I'm just, a little tired. Oh, Lin, just believe me, I promise you will be happy this time. I have been preparing for this day for a long time. Obito, I really don't need it. After being rejected repeatedly, Uchiha Obito fell silent, looked at Lin and said weakly, Lin, do you hate me so much? Obito Nohara Lin looked at Uchiha Obito seriously, we were teammates once, and I regard you and Kakashi as my companions. How can I hate you? This is not hate, but my own. You don't understand things, so don't waste any more time on me. But Lin, I see you are unhappy, and it feels really bad. Believe me, I will really make you happy this time. Please, please, just come with me. For a time, Nohara Lin was in a dilemma. She didn't hate Uchiha Obito. After all, they were former teammates and one of her few friends. However, what Uchiha Obito is doing for her now is beyond the scope of what her companions can do, which makes Nohara Lin instinctively repelled. If she agrees to go out to Obito today, how should she refuse the next time Uchiha Obito asks her to go out for another reason? Instead of being in a dilemma, it is better to decisively reject Uchiha Obito now. Thinking of this, decisiveness flashed across Nohara Lin's face. When it continues, it will lead to chaos. At this moment, Uchiha Obito seemed to notice the change in Nohara Rin's mind, and quickly added before Nohara Rin spoke. Lin, believe me, just go out with me this time, the last time. I begged Assistant Hokage for a long time for this matter, and he finally agreed to me. Assistant Hokage-sama, Uchiha-suke. Just as Nohara Rin was about to speak out, a trace of surprise flashed across her face when she heard what Obito said. Uchiha Obito. After hearing Uchiha-suke's name, a trace of hesitation flashed across Nohara Rin's face. Her refusal was not as firm as before, and she felt happy. Yes, Rin, that's Uchiha-suke. In order to get him to agree to my request, I have been helping him day and night recently and done a lot of things. Oh, by the way, I have now joined the super infrastructure construction team, which counts as I'm a small boss now. I've made a lot of money during this time. Lin, is there anything you want to eat or buy? I have money. After Obito finished speaking, he patted his pocket. Looking back on his experience during this period, Uchiha Obito felt for the first time the benefits of wood style. Not only can it be used for fighting, but its ability to make money is also leveraged. It is much faster than making money by doing tasks. Uchiha-suke. Well, I promise, to go out with you this time. Well, the last 3 times. Lin didn't listen to what Uchiha Obito said at all. After hearing Uchiha-suke's name, the rainy night of that day echoed in her mind. Somehow, Uchiha Rin agreed by accident, and when she reacted, Uchiha Obito jumped up on the spot. Great, Lin, let's go now. Looking at the elated Uchiha Obito in front of her, Nohara Rin was embarrassed to say no to Obito anymore, so she simply agreed by default. However, Nohara Rin quickly thought about meeting Uchiha-suke next, and became panicked again. Looking down at his messy hair, he turned around and ran into the room. Obito, please wait for me for a moment while I go wash up. Yeah, the leader nodded repeatedly. In order to avoid suspicion, he didn't even enter Nohara Rin's house. He stood at the door like a door god, waiting obediently. About 10 minutes later, Nohara Rin opened the door again. At this time, Nohara Rin changed into a light yellow suspender skirt, and her lips were painted with a light lip glaze, which reflected a beautiful luster in the sun. Obito saw Nohara Rin wearing makeup for the first time, and he was instantly fascinated. He had never seen such a beautiful Nohara Rin. Obito, how do we find Assistant Hokage? Go to the Hokage building? Will this disturb Assistant Hokage's work? When she was washing up again, Nohara Rin looked at herself in the mirror and realized that her face had turned red without knowing it. When everything was ready, I became extremely uneasy again. She wonders if Uchiha-suke still remembers her, and what does Uchiha-suke think of her? Why didn't Uchiha-suke come to her again for so long? Thinking of this, Nohara Rin flinched a little. If she hadn't already agreed to Uchiha Obito, and Uchiha Obito had been waiting for her outside the door, Nohara Rin might not have planned to go out now. There was an obvious intention to escape in her words. Uchiha Obito did not hear the hidden meaning of Nohara Rin's words. He looked at Nohara Rin with interest and raised his chin slightly. Lin, you don't have to worry about this. During this period, I often squat on the roadside and have noticed some patterns of Assistant Hokage. Assistant Hokage usually goes to the Hokage building at a fixed time every morning to work. So, we don't have to go to the Hokage building to see Assistant Hokage. We just need to wait on the road between his home and the Hokage building. According to my calculations in the past 2 days, Assistant Hokage will appear on Konoha's First Avenue in about 15 minutes. Uchiha Obito was very proud, and seemed to be satisfied that he was well prepared. He looked at Nohara Rin expectantly, hoping to get praise from Nohara Rin. Obito, you are really amazing. Nohara-rin was stunned after hearing this. She didn't expect Obito to have paid so much for her to see Uchihasuke. As long as Lin is happy, Obito smiled stupidly. Meeting Lin's gaze, Obito's heartbeat suddenly accelerated. He instinctively averted his eyes, pretended to be casual, covered up his nervousness, turned around and walked forward. Lin, we will see Assistant Hokage soon. Looking at Uchiha Obito's long back under Chawayang, Nohara Lin's eyes became a little complicated for a moment. If Obito knew about my relationship with Assistant Hokage, I don't know if he would be able to laugh now. Such strange thoughts suddenly came to Nohara Lin's mind. It's a headache to revise yesterday's chapter today. The evaluation votes are 807, and the distance is almost 900. I will add 1000 evaluation votes. Please give me a rating vote, please, parents of daily necessities. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 120. Time passes quietly. Uchiha Obito and Nohara Lin walked in tandem and soon arrived at the place where Uchiha Obito often stayed at Uchihasuke during this period. Looking southwest from here, there is a small clock tower that displays the time in Konoha. Great, we've got enough time. Assistant Hokage will pass by the street in front of us in about 10 minutes. Arriving here as planned, Uchiha Obito breathed a sigh of relief. Nohara Lin nodded, and after waiting for a while, she looked at Uchiha Obito and couldn't help but ask. Obito, are you really sure that Assistant Hokage will pass by this intersection? Will he change the time, change a new path, or simply not come? On the way, Nohara Lin's mind was in a state of confusion. It was not until she stopped that Nohara Lin's mind became particularly clear. The heartbeat was pounding, as if in her ears, making Nohara Lin extremely nervous. Uchiha Obito naturally happily chatted with Nohara Rin, just like a peacock spreading its tail, blooming his intelligence. In Uchiha Obito's own opinion, he is like this. Hey, Lin, you didn't know this. There are indeed many different possibilities for Mr. Hokage to go to the Hokage building. Because, there are 3 places where Mr. Hokage lives in Konoha. Obito held out 3 fingers. Most people definitely don't know where the Hokage will come from, but I have been busy working for the Assistant Hokage some time ago, and then I figured out the living habits of the Assistant Hokage. Assistant Hokage left with Sister Kushina yesterday. He must have been at Sister Kushina's house last night, so today he is going from Sister Kushina's house to the Hokage building. So we can just squat on this road. Kushina, sister. Obito, what are you talking about? Kushina sister is not the same as our teacher. As Nohara Lin spoke, she suddenly thought of something and stopped talking. Yes, that big pervert Uchihasuke won't let me go, so how can he let Kushina's sister go? He will definitely not be able to walk when he sees Kushina's sister. In the eyes of Nohara Lin, Sister Kushina is beautiful, gentle, generous, and individual. Kushina is the goddess in Nohara Rin's heart. At the same time, Nohara Lin also understood why Uchihasuke didn't come to see her during this period, and she felt a little sad. What the hell, there's Sister Kushina, no wonder she left me alone. Uchiha Obito didn't notice that Nohara Rin's mood became depressed. He glanced around and found that there was no one around, so he continued in a low voice. Lin, as far as I know, Sister Kushina seems to have had a falling out with our teacher. You don't know, I saw our teacher near Kushina's house this morning. Originally, I wanted to go up and say hello, but his expression turned pale. It was so dark that I had never seen a teacher like that before. I was so scared that I hid aside and didn't dare to speak out. Lin, don't tell anyone. I guess the teacher must have gone to Sister Kushina's house after returning from the front line this morning. Then, the teacher found out that Sister Kushina was living with Assistant Hokage, so it became so scary. Obito himself didn't understand the feelings between men and women, but as a melon eater, his IQ suddenly became terrifyingly high and he was extremely sharp. For some reason, after hearing Uchiha Obito's description, Nohara Lin had a picture in her mind. At the door of Kushina's sister's house. Their teacher, Namikaze Minato, had an angry face and looked at the man and woman embracing in front of him in disbelief. Sister Kushina's face had a trace of rosy color and a trace of panic. And Uchiha was laughing loudly and wantonly. Nohara Lin quickly dismissed the thought in her mind and reminded Uchiha to bring prosperity. Obito, don't spread these words in Konoha in the future, it will be bad if the teacher hears them. Obito suddenly felt like he had eaten honey. Look, Lin, she is caring about me. Yeah, Lin, don't worry, I'm only telling you these words, I won't tell others. Nohara Lin looked at Obito who felt like he had reached the G-spot, and was a little puzzled, and was about to continue saying something. Uchiha Obito's eyes moved and he saw a familiar figure from the corner of his eye. Zero, please give me flowers, Zero. An obvious smile appeared immediately. Lin, let's talk later, I saw Assistant Hokage. After saying that, Uchiha Obito turned around and trotted towards that figure. While running, he shouted, Assistant Hokage, Assistant Hokage. Uchiha heard someone calling him from behind and looked back. Seeing Uchiha Obito's face full of joy, Uchiha didn't understand why he was so happy for a while. It wasn't until Uchiha crossed Uchiha Obito and saw Nohara Rin with her head lowered and blushing behind Uchiha Obito that she came back to her senses and understood what Uchiha Obito meant. Zero. Assistant Hokage, that. When things came to a close, Uchiha Obito felt a little embarrassed. Uchiha patted Uchiha Obito generously on the shoulder. Okay, I understand. I have worked hard on you some time ago. Obito, since I promised you to take Nohara Rin on a flight, I will never break my promise. Great, Mr. Assistant Hokage, you are such a nice person, please excuse me. He scratched his head with a silly smile. At this time, Nohara Rin also came over. When she heard what Obito was saying, she was speechless. She wanted to slap Uchiha Obito on the head and tell him what Uchiha had done to her. He begged Uchiha like this, it wasn't. But Nohara Rin recalled the scene of that day and the temperature of Uchiha, and finally suppressed all these words in her mouth. Because, she also misses Uchiha a little bit. Although, she never admits it. Forget it, Obito did it voluntarily anyway. Even if he knows he wants to blame me in the future, let him blame me. Thank you to the parents for the flowers. There will be more than 53,420 flowers tomorrow, please continue to add more. Single day flowers are 2,000, 20,000 plus extra.